The progressive decline in government subvention for technical education has been blamed as one of the epidemic causes of unemployment in Nigeria. The 6334 system of education introduced by former Minister of Education, Professor Babs Fafunwa, was designed to elevate technical education to its pride of place in the nation's academic curriculum, as well as unleash its explosive potential. But just how faithful has the government been in implementation of the system? So joining us now to discuss the connection between the poor attention on technical education and Nigeria's intractable unemployment challenges is Okwuokenye Nkenchor, Proprietor and Chairman of Governing Council, Calvary Polytechnic, Delta State. Welcome to the program. It's a joy having you. There's a need for technical education and apprenticeship learning in our educational system. A lot of people say this will help bridge the gap as regards the burgeoning unemployment rate of 27.1%. And the underemployment rate that cumulates into about 55.4%, but unemployment and employment rate. What will you say is the silver bullet approach to bring back technical education into our curriculum?
Yes, the way to go is what we have now is that most of our educational system produce graduates that are dependent, that require employment from employee, dependent on employment from the government system. However, technical education will produce graduates that will be employer of labor. So with that being done, then there will be great reduction in unemployment.
Well, Mr. Nkenchor, you are the proprietor of Calvary Polytechnic, and I assume Calvary Polytechnic also provides technical education. Technical education is part of the Nigerian national policy on education. But the big concern is that we've not been focusing well on it, because that dream, that technical, well, I don't know, it's also called vocational education, right? That technical and vocational education would help to provide a certain cadre of skillful persons who can help drive the industrialization process in Nigeria. What are the challenges, in your view, that we have been facing with technical education? Is it the curriculum, or is it that we don't have teachers who are qualified? And what is the way forward? What should government do? Because you are a private investor, what should government do to provide support for private proprietors like you?
Thank you. Well, the challenges for technical education is just more encouragement from the federal government. We have enough lecturers or teachers or trainers that will do the work, but you need to understand that technical education requires a lot of practical equipment, which are very expensive, especially as dollar is going higher now. And technical education is more of a practical work. And practical works need practice. For instance, if you are working on a vehicle, you are trained in automobile engineering, you need to get enough vehicles to practice with. And that is very capital intensive. So there is need for encouragement from the federal government, from the system, especially to private investors and private school owners, to be able to produce more technicians and technologists.
Well, I mean, just that. I mean, you run a polytechnic that focuses on technical education accredited by the National Board of Technical Education. So we have very good teachers. There are no other challenges apart from just encouragement from government.
Well, other challenges are mainly finance. Finance are mainly the challenges. And then we really need the finance to be able to do the work effectively and efficiently, in the sense that private investors are not like the federal government that has sufficient finance to do the work. So if we get assistance, that will be a major boost to the private polytechnics in churning out technicians and technologists, which is the main thing. And then apart from that, well, some practical equipment that are required are imported, and then you need to purchase them, maybe with foreign currency, and then to get enough of those equipments, practical equipment.
To what extent do you think cultural attitudes play to the underdevelopment of technical education in Nigeria? What do you think of that doctor, lawyer, engineer bias that a lot of Nigerian parents have, trying to force children who might even be square pegs into round holes? I'd like you to address that. And also, in view of the ASU strike, the calls that tertiary education in Nigeria needs to find innovative ways of funding rather than relying on the government for every single naira.
Well, there's cultural effect, because a number of parents would like to hear that their children are engineers, doctors, we have medical doctors, PhD holders, and so on. But the government is making a lot of effort, and the private sectors are also making a lot of effort, especially with the private polytechnics, to churn out qualified graduates who are self-employed. Those who are mainly looking at being medical doctors or PhD holders, it's becoming clear that some of them have graduated 5 years, 8 years now, and they are still unemployed because they are waiting to be employed from the government offices. However, a number of graduates who graduated from the technical schools and polytechnics, some of them are already practicing on their own. Some of them are already fabricators. They have shops and they are fabricating. Some of them are already producing building equipment and so on. So the way forward and the way people are playing down on that effect of culture is the fact that there is a food on the table, as far as you are technologist. You can easily practice immediately you graduate.
There was a data that came out yesterday, I think even probably before yesterday. I was talking about the fact that Nigeria's use of electricity in the manufacturing space was just about 9%. So what it means invariably is that we don't have a strong manufacturing sector because it's quite very limited what the manufacturing sector is doing. And we all remember the days where we used to have big factories and the likes, and all of them are out now. Those factory spaces are being turned into warehouses today. No economy can grow without a viable manufacturing sector. But at first, you need technical education to be able to run the manufacturing machines and then improve the economy. Where does your school, Calvary Polytechnic, come in as regards all of this? I mean, giving viable standard technical education.
Well, in Calvary Polytechnic, the training we give to our students before they graduate is such that when they graduate, they become very useful. We have gone involved in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship training is a training that encourages the students and also encourages and supports the school in fund generation. For instance, in Calvary Polytechnic, we have what we call waste to wealth production. We gather a lot of waste plastic materials, pass them to production, and eventually export them to factories where they use them for manufacturing of clothes, food, packaging products, and other products. That generates fund for the institution, encourages the students, and students are trained, and then they come out, and the industries are also supported.
Well, Mr. Nkenchor, there's an aspect of that question raised by Rufai, which I think we should worry about, which is the school-to-work transition. Once upon a time in this country, we had polytechnics churning out people with not just HND or OND, but also persons who took something they call city and guilds. And most of the people working for construction companies in those days were Nigerians, and we had people doing a lot of practical work. Now, today, when people want to build a house or they want to lay tiles, they will say, oh, it's better to go next door, either to Republic of Benin or Cotonou or to Togo, to go and get persons with technical skills. Now, we still have these polytechnics. My observation is that many of the schools offering technical education, they even offer courses that do not appear technical. And even when the students graduate, there is that problem in terms of even getting jobs because the industries have collapsed. Now, where is that connection in terms of school-to-work transition? And how effective, in your view, is the Board of Technical Education in ensuring that there is that strict focus on technical education 60 years after Nigeria started talking about it? Hello? Mr. Nkenchor?
Yeah.
Okay, did you hear me?
Yes. The National Board of Technical Education are our regulators, and they don't forget that the entrance into polytechnics is usually 70-30 ratio. That is 70% is technology-based, while 30% is not technology-based. So a lot of the graduates that are produced in the polytechnics are 70% technology-based. And this 70% has been directed by National Board of Technical Education, has a lot of impact on the students that are churned out, the number of those doing engineering or science-based or technology-based courses. Well, in the industry, in the many people who are supposed to be doing work, like in building firms, construction firms, road construction, many of them are supposed to be technology-based students or graduates. However, between me and you, you are aware that sometimes, due to inability of some school administration to be strict and adhere to the norms, there's some slack. And because of the slack, it affects the graduates. But where the school authority adheres to the norms as directed by National Board of Technical Education, we have very sound products from the technology institutions who come out live and then become very useful to the society. Some of them are there. Some of them are also private owners of private enterprises, and they are thriving very well, doing their works to national and international standard, and having best practice as part of their way of life.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Nkenchor, Proprietor and Chairman of the Governing Council, Calvary Polytechnic, Delta State, for joining us this morning. Very important subject, technical education in Nigeria. We hope someday we'll get it right.